Game of the Year awards, which is drumroll Pokemon TCG, which also won 3 weeks ago the Google Play Game of the Year. So no surprise here. I'm still playing the game, even though I'm just opening the packs, but they're still crushing it. And yeah, they were over 1 billion in the first year.
Two and a Half Gamers exclusive.
Breaking news.
Literally breaking.
Hello. News roll, literally, as we get into the breaking news today and break down the most important stories of the week of the 8th of December for you. So lots of stuff happening. Yeah, there will be pretty interesting things. So stay tuned and let's get to it. So the biggest news of the week is, of course, Netflix bid for Warner Bros., which is the big media conglomerate that owns like lots of IPs, basically. Stuff like Batman, for instance. Netflix is pretty much going after all the content there to kind of integrate it in its platform. The deal was set to be something like 82.7, 83 billion, basically. But the kicker is, of course, the counterbid by Paramount, which did an all-cash deal of 108 billion, which was kind of a hostile kind of deal because the board should announce and they went to shareholders directly, if I understand. But the thing is that this is an all-cash deal compared to Netflix one, which is cash and stock. And also the problem that because Netflix would then own the third biggest streaming platform, it could also end up at the FTC regulation commission. It could actually be blocked as for monopoly reasons. Yeah, we are looking at this battle from the sidelines. It's kind of quite interesting. The latest that I read on this is that Paramount or the guys there, Ellison, will actually raise the bid even higher by 10% from $30 a share to $33 a share to kind of force this and pretty much be the winner here. So let's see what happens. And it seems still that by regulatory reasons, the Trump government is maybe more positive about Paramount taking it instead of Netflix. So let's see how that goes. But again, it's going to be very interesting. The salt into the wounds was also shared this week where Netflix Gregory Peters said on investor call that the whole Warner Brothers gaming division is pretty much attributed zero value and it's relatively minor compared to the grand scheme of things. So yeah, that's also quite interesting, especially for us in the gaming industry, that Netflix, as we know, doesn't have any reliable gaming strategy, even though they try to pose as they have, but they don't. So nothing new here, and it's just kind of confirms that they don't have an idea how to run a games business, and this is not even their goal here. They have it as some kind of nice to have afterthought. What they're really going after is the Warner Bros. IPs, of course, because IPs are very important. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. My bet is that the Paramount will probably win, but let's see, because again, bidding war always ends up, I guess, surprisingly here. Anyway, let's move on. The other quite interesting news of the week is with big corporations, Walt Disney partnering with OpenAI, basically, in this kind of landmark agreement, where they will actually allow their characters and IP, 200 characters, basically, to be generated by OpenAI on their Sora platform. And then they can have, of course, those characters streamed and used at Disney Plus as some kind of user-generated content, I guess, in their streaming platform. And also, as part of the agreement, Disney will make a $1 billion equity investment in OpenAI. Yeah, this is really interesting because, just of the context of the whole AI thing, like usually it's the other way around where all these kind of IP holders are against AI because it's learning based on their copyrighted material without permissions, yada, yada, yada. But here we actually get to the, if you can beat them, join them kind of a deal. So this is super interesting. And yeah, we'll see. Because ChatGPT, OpenAI itself is kind of lacking lately. I know they just today released ChatGPT 5.2. So let's see how that release goes because we still don't have the full reviews. But Google is kind of crushing it with Gemini and their kind of AI capabilities. So these guys really need to catch up. They still have the first mover advantage and the giant user base which produces all the data that their model learns on. But again, others are catching up, and not even talking about the open source community in China. So let's see how that goes. But it's quite interesting, especially also for us as for the IP kind of a context and what will happen to it. Anyway, that was most of the major news. Let's get to the smaller ones now. So we got Duolingo doing a collaboration with Genshin Impact. This is quite interesting, where players actually get to complete a 3-day streak quest in Duolingo for some bunch of rewards, mainly Primo Gems, which is the hard currency in Genshin Impact. So you do the streak in Duolingo, and then you get to redeem those gems somewhere like until end of December. Yeah, this just confirms the trend of Duolingo being more and more kind of catering towards the gaming audience. And there's been like a number of complaints lately that I've seen that, like, again, the app is actually breaking its own philosophy of being a learning app rather than just being a gamified app as it is, like we, for instance, covered Impulse. So let's see how this goes. The stock is down pretty harsh, but again, yeah, I guess they know what they're doing, but learning is not the priority, it seems. But yeah, quite interesting if this is gonna go into different IP collaboration with different games. Then we have the results of the App Store Game of the Year awards, which is, drumroll, Pokemon TCG, which also won 3 weeks ago the Google Play Game of the Year. So no surprise here. I'm still playing the game, even though I'm just opening the packs, but they're still crushing it. And yeah, they were over 1 billion in the first year of revenue. And I think they're currently the biggest Pokemon team game on the mobile stores. They have like double revenue of Pokemon Go now. So let's see. And yeah, fingers crossed for Scopely to turn this around, I guess. Then we have some minor news from Activision that they'll change their Call of Duty release schedule because it seems isn't working that well, even though the press release doesn't mention that. But from all the data sources we see that, Black Ops 7 didn't really sell that well. So I guess this is the same thing that happened with Marvel. So they won't be releasing these games back to back to a year, but rather in like 1 a year schedule, which means that, again, same thing that happened to Marvel. Marvel next year is just releasing 2 movies because those movies aren't really doing much after Endgame. So let's see how this one goes. And then we have some, again, nice news by Merch Mayor. This was taken from Pocket Gamer Biz, where, again, sending regards to Antti, where he goes into detail how the team actually utilizes AI and goes full on with it by asset creation and speeding up stuff such as prototyping and all these other things. Yep, this is just great positive news. I'm all for AI and for realistic use of it with kind of a, we know what we're doing, we're not just following the hype. So that's great. It's stuff there. Then we continue. The Rockstar saga continues, which, if you don't know, Rockstar, the makers of GTA, they recently fired 34 staff for gross misconduct as the official reason, but of course everybody's talking about that. For the real reason was we're trying to force a union, which is something that American people don't really like, as not in Europe where we have thousands of unions. So this is still ongoing case, and I guess there will be some lawsuits happening in the future. Then we have Meta planning massive cuts finally to the Reality Labs Metaverse division. I've seen videos lately about this division being pretty much 70 billion in minus now. This whole metaverse dream that Zook made is quite costly, and they're losing still somewhere around 5 billion per quarter, or that was the last kind of a setup. So yeah, I guess what's happening here that they're just changing the hype cycle and moving from VR to AI. So I guess all the resources everything will just move there, and AI will kind of be again put on a lifeline, a very small one, so no more 5 billion a quarter burn rate. So let's see what happens there. Then we have, of course, today is the Game Awards kind of show where you can get the fullest when you can get the biggest show, pretty much the gaming Oscars. So that's currently being watched by millions of people around the world. Again, Game of the Year nominees, we can just go through there. Clair Obscur, Death Stranding 2, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Hollow Knight, Silk Song, Kingdom Come Deliverance. My bet is either on Clair Obscur or Kingdom Come Deliverance, because again, this just puts the context of the time of everybody's moving to AA instead of AAA. The other interesting thing here is that, yeah, best mobile game of the year, the nominees are rather confusing because there's stuff like Sonic Rumble, which is in soft launch, or Persona 5, Destiny Rising, no King Shot. There's Uma Musume there, which I'm hoping it will win because it's amazing, even though it was released in 2021, but again, Western release just this year. So my bet's there, but yeah, let's see. And then last one, yeah, Google is planning to use, of course, as expected, Gemini for an ad network, so they'll bring ads to it in 2026. Let's see how that one goes. That was the roundup for this week. Yep, thanks very much and see you next time. Nice day. Bye-bye.